House, the original owner of the Bucks. He was very interested in NFL films and what we were doing. And since he had a brand new team, he was interested to see that we documented it well.
May I say that we're here for one reason and one reason only. And that's to bring the fans great professional football.
He said, Ed, I'm going to give you anything you want here. I want this to be a good history of the Buccaneers.
You knew NFL films were around all the time. It was kind of a given. So it wasn't a distraction to me, but I think it was for Coach and the guys that came from SC, because they were used to a much more controlled environment.
It was his first professional team. He was coming from the college ranks, and although it was a high-profile school, USC, I don't think he was used to having this much attention being paid to him by NFL films.
Well, they can't come out on the field. We never allowed a camera in SC out on the field.
Gentlemen, if you don't get that camera out there, I'm going to shove it right up your ears.
At first, McKay was so conscious of our wireless mic, he actually covered it with his hat when one of his assistants tried to talk to him.
There's a cold beer if you'd like one in Mr. Culverhouse's office for the coaches.
Really find out who will catch the ball.
It took a while, but finally the coach lightened up enough to include us in his jokes.
It's just a matter of finding out who will catch the ball in traffic, and I think that will be the telling factor as to who we actually end up keeping.
Well, that ought to be a son of a mother picture.
I was laughing so hard, I couldn't hold the camera steady.
That's a great idea.
And you can print that. It's strictly off the record.
That's a great answer. Now, you've heard the term outtakes. Well, in films, it means mistakes, flubs, you know, all the kinds of embarrassing things you leave on the cutting room floor. Well, imagine trying to make a film with nothing but outtakes. That's the problem we faced with Birth of the Bucks.
You're going to run the curl, and you're going to hustle. It's all right. You had a catcher's mitt, you'd have caught it. Put down, I'll change this drill. This looks like a fire drill in a third-grade school. I don't think anybody will make the Olympic team on this squad at this time.
You know, sometimes you question whether your memory is accurate, especially after 25 years. So I was sort of curious to look at this footage again to see if the Bucks were really as bad as I remembered. And I discovered, no, they were actually worse. Everything about the Buccaneers seemed wrong from the start. Even the uniform design and logo.
I thought they were terrible. I thought they were ugly. Remind me of a pirate movie I saw with Earl Flynn. You know, Earl Flynn had one of those pirate hats on with the pirate on the side and the color, and I didn't like it. I didn't think it would go well in the NFL, but those were the colors that were chosen by the ownership, so we went with it. But I didn't like it. I mean, the players didn't like it either.
When we had a lot of the orange on, we looked like big creamsicles. We weren't fond of the colors. He didn't look too frightful. He was supposed to be a swashbuckler, but he looked like a happy fellow on the side of the helmet.
One person who appreciated the uniform was the man who lived with it every day, equipment manager Pat Marchicello.
I think it's a great-looking logo. I think it's a great-looking logo. It was originally going to be called Tampa Bay Orange, and NFL property said, let's call it Florida Orange. So that's what it goes by, it's Florida Orange. People say it's Tennessee Orange. It's not. It's not Tennessee Orange, and it's not Texas Orange. It's just, it's a different orange, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the only ones that use it.
I thought it was a pretty sharp logo. Of course, I'm going to, because my feelings were getting hurt by all this constant criticism of this uniform and the helmet.
It's true. People around the league laughed at the Bucks uniforms. Mike Ditka called them the pastel patsies.
Some people called it Bruce the Buccaneer. That's because they lost. I'll guarantee you they'd have been manly enough if they'd have won. We know that.
Film Session is brought to you by Rocky Mountain Refreshing Coors Light. Taste the cold. And by new Gillette Fusion, the best shave ever in manual and battery power.
I'd like to make a toast. Through thick and thin, this town showed grit. It took 77 of us to build the roller rink. Remember Stump Mahoney, Roland Gustafson, Gilbert, Joe Claw, Bobby Bernstein, Old Lamonia, and there was Jimmy Haas. Boy, could he jig so.
Introducing the Coors Light Cold Wrap label, insulated to help protect the cold from the heat of your hand. Because sometimes beer needs to stay colder longer.
John Claxton, there was Clayton Vogel. Let's see who else.
Introducing the miracle of fusion, a revolutionary technology and a unique idea come together to create new Gillette Fusion. Until now, pressure caused irritation. Fusion has 5 blades spaced closer together to reduce pressure, with less irritation and more comfort. Flip Fusion over. A precision trimmer for those tricky places. The comfort of 5 blades, the precision of 1. The best shave ever. In manual or battery power. New Gillette Fusion.
Got a good one going, fans. Chiefs 20, Raiders 23.
With 19 seconds left, a big play by Larry Johnson set up an even bigger coaching decision by Dick Vermeil.
He's at the 15-yard line, angling 10, 5. Larry Johnson is down to the 1 with 9 seconds, 8 seconds, 7 seconds, 5. The Chiefs call timeout.
The Chiefs have to decide. Kick an easy 3 to go to overtime or try to win the game on this snap.
Let's go for the score right here. Let's go for the score.
Raiders 23, Chiefs 20. First down and goal to go at the 1. I set. Richardson the fullback. Johnson the tailback. Trent Green sets Dunn. Tip-tap motion. Handoff Johnson. He does! Touchdown! Kansas City! And the Chiefs win on the final play from scrimmage.
A typical Chiefs Raiders game.
Touchdown Atlanta. He put on a cape. He was Superman. Bucs win. Yes, Virginia. There's a Santa Claus.
Hi, I'm John Gruden, and you're watching NFL Network.
When Bucs owner Hugh Culverhouse hired John McKay away from Southern Cal in 1976, he got not only the most celebrated coach in college football at the time, but a man with a keen sense of humor.
Don't forget to take off your shoes, please. That's the only thing we're going to get right today is the shoes, I think.
You know, his little quips and his one-liners were original and they were funny, and he could have been on the stage as a stand-up comic.
It bothers me that they've picked us to be the worst team in football because what they're doing now is challenging your physical and your mental capacity and my ability to coach. Now this hurts me. Second worst team, I could stand it, but not the worst team.
He did have a great sense of humor, and that there were times when things were very difficult that he would come up with a line that really did help the situation, particularly with the media.
I've broken down the expansion teams, and they've averaged winning 2.7 games their first year, which to me is rather difficult. I figured the 2, but the 0.7 has got me wondering what the hell is going on.
One of the reporters after a dismal game said, Coach, how do you feel about your team's execution? And he looked back, he says, I'm all for it.
Well, another one that I thought was pretty funny, he was asked, well, Coach Ricky Bell carried the ball about 30 times today, and that's an awful lot. And Coach said, well, he didn't think it was that much because the ball is not that heavy.
There's millions of them. I still like the one where the initial kicker, Pete Rejecki, did say, he was quoted in the paper saying that my dad, really intimidated him and made him nervous. And my dad's comeback to it was, well, we've got a problem because I intend to go to all the games.
John McKay's sense of humor seemed to rub off on the fans. I remember a banner hanging in the end zone that season. It read, Bucs Fever, catch it, because our receivers can't.
Now just concentrate, remember his name. Hey, you.
When McKay was winning 4 national championships at SC, he had a quip for every occasion. But in Tampa, the laughs, like the victories, came hard.
It was hard for him. He was used to winning national championships, and all of a sudden you're losing.
We'll have a brunch at 10:30. There'll be no wake up till 10:30. Curfew tonight is at midnight. You'll have dinner and meat for the meetings at 7 to 8 o'clock, and you're free from 8 to 12 which is time enough to do most anything.
John McKay died earlier this year. In his final interview with us in 1998, he talked about how much harder it was back then to build an expansion team. Back then, in 1976, there was no free agent market, and the new teams weren't awarded bonus picks in the draft. They had to play almost exclusively with cast-offs from the other teams.
I think the National Football League should be ashamed of how they did it before. It was not fair to the fans, not fair to the owners, certainly not fair to the coaches, and you just didn't have any chance.
He has very fond memories of the players and the guys that hung in and the guys that survived it and the guys that made it to 77.
I think he was just the right fit for the Buccaneers at the time.
He was sure right for us. He was for us, for these newspapers and these fans, because the team was bad, but the coach was good. I don't know what we'd have done if we had a nobody.
And to put that 1976 season in perspective, consider this. The Bucs were shut out 5 times. They averaged 9 points a game. And they're the only team to finish a season with more players on injured reserve than touchdowns scored. 17 players on IR, 15 touchdowns. That's a bad season. When McKay went to Tampa, he brought along several assistants from Southern Cal, including Wayne Fonts and Dick Beam. Beam's duties were many and varied.
Dick Beam was the fix-it man. Whenever we had a problem, Beam was in charge of fixing it and getting it right.
Go around each one of these groups, Dick. If anybody's having any shoe trouble, get them off right now. We'll get some other shoes on.
He was more than a gopher. I mean, he took care of all the administrative work, and Beam was good because, you know, he looked out for Coach. I mean, he had been with Coach at SC, and he looked out for him, and that was kind of important in those days, I think, to have someone there, a buffer, you know, because it got a little nasty that first year.
Come on up here for me so they get a good shot. Okay.
Today, Dick is still with the NFL.
From Miami, number 58, Mike.
Each year at the Super Bowl, he directs the pregame introductions. It's a job he learned in Tampa 25 years ago. For Wayne Fonts, this was his first opportunity to coach in the pros, and he was excited about it.
Put your head down, but look at me. Come straight ahead now. Something about the anatomy. Your body will follow your head. And I'll tell you what, guys. Coach McKay won't stand for the best player or even the worst player to loaf on the practice field. If you don't give 100% out here, you're going to be gone. You will be gone. You will cut yourself. Let's go. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's move it.
He was the Bucs' secondary coach. But you see the enthusiasm here that helped him climb the ladder to head coach in Detroit.
Calvin, that's the way to come back with it. Good job. That's a good job. That's a damn good job. Way to come back with that football.
Wayne had 2 identities, one for work and one for fun.
He loved to look at other women, never did anything, but I loved to look at him, and he said his name was Fonts before 5, but Fontes after 5, and...
Coach Fontes after the sun goes down. Yeah, that was always a joke.